Okay, for 1E, we're adding and subtracting signed fractions. So it says to please, please, please leave change opposite, which means make two arcs side by side. So we look in A and we ask ourselves, do we need to leave change opposite? And the answer is, of course, yes. This is a minus. So we're going to leave change opposite. Now, if you look ahead, we won't need to do that in B because this is already a plus sign, so that's good. All right, so now we can go about actually combining these fractions. What do we always have to have when we are adding or subtracting fractions, not when we're multiplying and dividing? And the answer, of course, is a common denominator. So we look at our denominators here. We have 5 and we have 10. And we need a denominator that both of these will go into, which means it has to be bigger than the smallest one, right? So we're going to start by trying 10 times 1. 10 is our bigger denominator. Let's just start from that point and see if it works. So does 5 go into 10? Well, yes, it does. All right. How many times would I multiply 5 to get to 10? That would be 2. Okay, so when I multiply by 2, I'm going to get a numerator of 6 and a denominator of 10, and my whole number is negative 3. Now the beautiful thing about this problem is this is already in tenths. I don't need to do a thing to it. It's just still negative 9/10. All right, at this point, we ask ourselves, are the signs different or the same? Well, this one is negative and so is this one. So since they are the same, we're going to add them and keep the sign. I always suggest that in problems like this, it is often easiest to change them to improper fractions. This is the reason why. We're going to be adding these, right? Because the signs are the same. This 6/10 is really negative. It's because this whole entire mixed number is negative. That means the 3 is negative and also the fraction is negative. However, if you don't remember that and you're just looking at it as a 6 added to a negative 9, you might think that actually that's going to become a negative 3, but it's not. This is really truly a negative 6/10. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and just avoid all that mess and change them to improper fractions. Okay, so 3 times 10 is 30 plus 6. This is going to be 36 over 10, and then I'm just going to remember that it has a negative sign in front. I don't really get caught up in the negative until at the end I put it there just to remind myself this whole thing is negative. All right, I'm going to be adding to that a negative 9/10. So when I do that, my denominator always stays the same, and I'm going to add these because the signs are the same, and the 36 plus 9 is 45, and we keep the sign. Now, if you wrote this as your answer, unfortunately, it's not quite correct because we have to make sure it's simplified. And there is a common factor for 45 and 10. They can both be divided by 5. So for your final answer, you would figure out whatever negative 45 is divided by 5 for your numerator and 10 divided by 5 is your denominator. All right, moving on here. Common denominator. We have 4 and we have 3, so our common denominator would be 12, which means we need to change both of these things. So in the first one, we're multiplying 4 by 3, so we do the same thing on the top, and 1 times 3 is 3. And then we have our whole number 5. So 5 and 1/4 changes to 5 and 3/12. We come over here and we know we're going to have a negative 2 in the front because our whole number never changes, but 2/3 changes to 12ths by multiplying by 4 on the bottom, so we multiply by 4 on the top, and 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, at this point, we ask ourselves, are we adding these or subtracting them? In other words, are the signs different or are they the same? And these signs are different. 5 is positive, 2 is negative, which means we need to subtract. We can't subtract them written this way because 3/12 is not big enough to subtract the 8/12, which means we would need to borrow. So this again is when sometimes improper fractions are the best way to go. So I'm going to do it that way. 5 times 12 is 60. This changes to 63/12. This one, 2 times 12 is 24, plus 8 is 32/12. And I have a plus and a negative. And now I'm ready to go. I don't have to worry about borrowing. I don't have to worry about reordering the numbers. I can just follow my rules. Okay, so my denominator stays 12. And now I say, well, the signs are different, which means I need to subtract. So 63 minus 32 is going to be, and I'm going to let you do the rest, but whatever that answer is will be your numerator. And just ask yourself which one would win the battle. Is it going to be a positive answer or a negative answer?